Good evening, televiewers. It is another Prime edition on My Media Prime TV. This evening, we're going to be talking to those of you who have registered to vote for the 2025 presidential election. So many persons have declared to run for this year's presidential elections, and many of them are already dropping their candidacies at the level of a leg, and 5 of them, in fact, have done so. So far, many more are going to be doing so in the days ahead. Let us look at what we need to find out about those who want to run Cameroon. What do they actually offer a society project for you who is following them? What do they really stand for? What is their educational background? What is their track record in their respective communities? Do you know them? Can you really can you actually see what they say with what they have done so far? Is going to be the focus for what we are going to be discussing this evening. Reason why I brought just one panelist to look at what we as electorate are supposed to understand as far as political programs and politicians are concerned before we settle down on who we are voting. Dr. Ngwanyam is with me in the studio tonight to discuss on this. He is a politician. He is an educationist and a social entrepreneur. Good evening, Doctor. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much, and good evening to all our listeners. It's an exciting topic. It's more of an educational topic tonight. We are not arguing with anybody. We are not quarreling with anybody. We are not talking about anybody in particular. We're kind of like just bringing out some of the key issues that we should all be looking at, so we shall have good leaders in Cameroon.
So the first issue is what electorates should look out for in a declared candidate. So many of them have declared to run for these elections under political platforms. Others have said they want to go in as independent candidates. Do you really know them? What do they represent? What are the offers made to you by their respective political platforms? I'll start by asking you, Dr. Ngwanyam, who should we be looking out for, a ruler or a leader?
That's a good one. A ruler or a leader? And even before you said so, I was thinking in my mind, a leader or a manager. Okay. You see that? So it's very important for us to define the terms so that we don't get lost. While he is talking about a ruler, it's easy to relate a ruler with a king or kingship or something like that. We all have these chiefs and fonts in our fondoms, so those are rulers. Now, when it comes to leadership and management, being a manager, those are two concepts that are sometimes very difficult to understand if they are not explained to you. And while a good leader can be a great manager, a good manager is not necessarily a good leader. So it's very important that we look for those things in someone who would help us take this nation from where it is to where we want to go. So I like to illustrate a lot. When I illustrate, people remember, and that's what I tend to do. Now let's go to the plantations in CDC, Tico plantations, the CDC plantations, and do something. If you enter in an helicopter and go up in the air, and we will see a pineapple plantation, we will see a banana plantation, we will see a cassava plantation, we will see a rubber plantation, and so on. So there are all sorts of plantations out there. By those plantations, I'm trying to create a mental picture of the different aspects of the society, community, and the different problems that a leader sees. So a leader is someone who sits way up there. Not he doesn't sit way up there in the sense that he is far away from his people. It's just that he has a better vision and clarity of things. So I'm saying that a leader is like someone who is sitting in an helicopter and is sitting, The helicopter is in the air, so that from the air he can view a lot of things. He can see the palms over there, he can see the rubber down there, he can see the sugar cane at the other end, and so on. And while he is looking at it from the air, he notices that over there in the pineapple plantation, the pineapples are ready for harvest. Over there, the monkeys are eating the sugar cane, and with what he is seeing, he now comes back and tells his managers, who are under him, says he would detail a manager, now move your workers from the rubber plantation and go and work on the pineapple plantation. So, a manager is someone who does the small task on a small specific thing with a team of people and ensures that he gets it done and done well. But beyond that, he doesn't have the capacity to know what is happening in the sugarcane farm and all these other farms and so on. So you see, that is where the difference between a manager and a leader comes in. And so here we are talking about vision. We are talking about creativity. So you see, a leader must be someone who has vision, who is visionary, who is creative, who has critical thinking skills, and who can solve complex problems, who can see things before they even happen. So that is the major difference between a leader and a manager. And when you look at it very critically, we tend to have more managers in Cameroon than leaders, and sometimes even as managers they are not as good as we think they should be.
Okay, so how do we identify these threats in those who are posing to wanting to lead Cameroon?
Now, there is something. Even before I came to the studio, I question myself, what are the key things that we should look for in a leader, and I put them here. I think on my fingernails, do you say my fingernails? No, on my fingertips. We have leadership qualities, that's A. B, policy and governance. 3, personal qualities. This part of it, personal qualities. We look at the person. We have to look at the person. If that person doesn't pass that part of the examination, forget it. And then I said a moment ago, critical thinking skill and problem solving skills is very important, and there must be accountability. So these are the key things that we'll be looking at when we want to choose a leader. It's very, very important. And if you fail in any of these things and you overlook them, that leader is going to deal with you. So for instance, we are now going in to elect the president, and you just notice that for the past 7 years, many of the people in the political parties, as well as the so-called independents, were very quiet and silent somewhere, drinking their mimbo and doing whatever. Then on the eve of elections, 2 months to elections, everybody just surfaces from nowhere, and they're all blowing a lot of hot air on television. I'm an independent candidate, blah 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 blah, and creating a lot of noise in the nation. That's not how you choose a leader. A leader is not someone who just sleeps and then you wake up in the morning, you are sleeping in the evening, you wake up in the morning, then you become a leader. No. Leadership is something that is in your marrow. It's something that you learn. If you want to be a good leader, fine, yes, you learn it, but you discipline yourself and you apply yourself to it so that you get the right qualities to become that good leader that people need to see in you. And that said, we are saying that we are going to choose people whom we have seen doing something throughout the year, over the years. Don't just pick on someone who just showed up overnight and tells you he's a leader. He's a liar.
Okay. So we are looking at somebody. How would we easily identify somebody who can be a possible servant leader?
Good. You said servant leader. A good leader is the one who feeds the sheep. A good leader is the one who feeds the sheep. A good leader is the one for whom the common good is key. A good leader is someone who places others and the nation above self. It's very important. A good leader is someone who places the nation and others above self. If you don't have that mindset, for starters, then you end up in a lot of trouble. And a lot of people, they have not understood this, and all they think that to be a leader, what it means to be a leader is that they should be in a position where people worship and praise them and bring them something to eat and drink. That's not it. That's not it. So a leader is a servant. And when Jesus Christ, before he was crucified, during the Last Supper, when he washed the feet of the apostles, that is the message. That washing of feet was that service to humanity. Be of service to your brothers and sisters. Washing the feet of others, that is coming low to do that. It's a very strong indicator of what a servant leader should be. Someone who is humble enough to come down from their high horses or from their high positions and work with the people. And if you have seen, even around the world, why are people so happy with someone like Ibrahim Traore? It's because he demonstrates that kind of a quality, where you see Traore in the midst of the people, trying to be like them and work with them, eat with them, cry with them, and sleep with them.
Okay. Sleep with them. I want us to look at one aspect after the other. We're talking about vision and program.
Yes.
Is this time for, if somebody says, I want to be president of the Republic of Cameroon, vote for me, is this time to take our energy to look at their vision and program?
See, yeah, the key thing is the vision and program. So if somebody comes in front of you now, John is the presidential candidate, and he shows you his manifesto, which is his program or whatever is written out, and then he's telling you his vision. Don't look at those first. Just keep those aside. Look at him. Look at him. Question him before you look at what he has written or what he is saying. What people do is more powerful and more important than what they say. Look for what people do. Don't pay attention to what they say. Look for what they have been doing. Don't look for what they have been doing in the past 1 or 2 weeks. You will see them go down the street and pretend that they are helping the neighborhood to clean the dirt and so on. Everybody does that during elections. Look for someone who has been doing things for himself, for the community, and for the nation, long even before he ever thought of becoming a presidential aspirant or whatever. That thing should be part of his character and personality. It should not be something that he has borrowed. It's not some big shoe that he has borrowed and cannot wear. They should be well fitting. So what am I saying? People pretend a lot. We are talking about the vision, which is just expressed ideas where they want to take us to, and the program they will write down is the business plan to say this is what we will do and how we'll do it and so on. All those things can be generated by ChatGPT or what we call now AI. Mm-hmm. So just because somebody has gone to AI or the internet and downloaded something that sounds nice doesn't make him a good president. Forget it. All these people, and ask especially women. Women know how to tell a good husband from a would-be good husband from a bad one. Because when you have a beautiful, nice girl out there, it's not just one man who is trying to win her. There's A, there's B, there's C, and the D talking, and she has to sit back and hold back and say, oh, this one is talking to me, and then she will do a SWOT analysis on A, do a SWOT analysis on B, and so on. This SWOT analysis to weigh them. Okay, put them on the scale and weigh them and find out what they are worth. What are they worth now? What have they been worth before? And what would they be worth tomorrow? Do they have something that if we put together we can build on, or is the kind of person who is only cheating? And very smart women have a way of telling who just has a sweet tongue and is just being deceitful because he wants something from the lady. So that is the kind of technique we should use. Don't just listen to people because they have sugar-coated tongues, and they dress beautifully and they're nice and il est beau, il parle bien anglais, français. No. That speaking good English doesn't pass for a good leader. Speaking good French or being very bilingual doesn't make you a good leader. Being a great orator is great for the cameras, but that doesn't make you a good leader.
But should they not take time to also look at through the programs to see which program actually addresses their concerns?
Of course, we are getting there. But you see, when you are, it's like when we were writing the GCE, right? When we were writing the GCE, even let's take any paper. Let's take mathematics. So there's mathematics paper 1, paper 2, paper 3. You write paper 1 before you go deal with paper 2 and 3. Don't skip paper 1 and do paper 3. It's not like that. I don't know if I'm communicating here. So do the first things first. First things first, look at the people, because there are many of them. There are 5, there are 10, there are 20, I don't know how many. You don't have time to be looking at the things that they have all downloaded from the internet, all of them. Look first at the people, to be able to say this person is serious because he has this track record. We can say he has this, he has done 1, 2, 3 things that everybody can verify. So if there are 20 people, so you use that to shortlist, and then you get probably 5. Once you have had 5, you put those 5 on the table. You take the other 15 and dump them in a waste basket. Then now we go to mathematics part 2. Mathematics part 2 now is where you are now examining the program and the vision and whatever they have written. Then mathematics part 3, I'm using figuratively now, we will go into something deeper, because at each time you are selecting. And of course, I'm sure you have seen how, during the celebration, when they're doing this thing of beauty contest, beauty contest, they go through.
It starts from region.
Yes, and there are many, and even when they have taken from the different regions, let's say the 10 contestants from different regions and put them together, they start from somewhere with the, keep eliminating until they get. It's the same thing that we have to do, to get to the right ones. And so we are saying that once you can tell that the candidates have been productive, the candidates are well behaved, the candidates are respectable and responsive to people's problems and to their environment, then you can now look into into whatever they have written as their vision or their programs or whatever, and begin to analyze them and see whether those programs pay attention to the problems in the community that we are living in. Those problems that we are going through every day, have they highlighted them in their programs? Do they have them within their vision? Have they been thinking about them? And can we count on them to be able to solve the problems? That's what we are saying.
Okay, that is what we are saying. But is this also time for those who are coming? We know that we have persons who are MPs, we have parties with municipal councillors, we have almost everybody. Issa Chiroma Bakari says, I want to be president. Should we go back to the way he's managing his council and the way his MPs are faring? Bello Buba, same. SDF, same. The CPDM, same. And across the board, that is, we say, okay, you want to be president. How have you performed in the past 7 years? That's exactly what we do. It's beginning to make some sense, I suppose, because you just cited Issa Chiroma and Bello Buba. You have the SDF. You have Cabral Libi.
You have Cabral Libi.
And the CPDF.
All of them. You put all of them together like in a basket like crabs. you know, when a fisherman goes and cuts everything, he puts everything there and then begins to sort them out. He will do that. And then it becomes very easy. For instance, let us take, for instance, Issa Chiroma that you just mentioned. It's very easy. Okay, Issa Chiroma, great, you have been a great guy, you speak very good English, you are very bilingual. Oh, you're nice looking. Oh, you have been minister for so much time. So give us a balance sheet of what you did, what you did when you were a minister. I understand he resigned because he said he was not effective because he couldn't see the president who appointed him.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's what he said. He couldn't be effective because he couldn't see the president who appointed him. Now, but yes, you couldn't see the president who appointed you, and now you want to be the president, which means you have to use your own brains and your own wits to solve problems. So while you couldn't see the president while you were minister, what proactive steps did you take to solve problems at your level?
Mm-hmm.
He has to give us an account of those things. But if you were just sitting there and expecting President Pobia to tell him to do this, then you can be certain that he's not yet ready. He's not groomed for the post. So that's why it's important to always show your apport personnel. You know, I'm sure you've gone to the bank sometimes to take a loan for one thing or the other, especially in the credit unions. When you go to the credit union to take a loan, they would say, okay, you want a loan of 500 francs. Then make sure that 20% of what you are asking for is your own money. Show us proof that you have 20 francs in your account. What you would call your apport personnel. That apport personnel is very important. It shows that the person has been serious and doing something himself. If the person just comes with an empty account, he has not been saving in your bank and so on, and just wants money, you're not going to give him. So when you'll be asking the leaders to show us, when we'll be asking the leaders, the supposed leaders, to show us what they have done, that is what we are asking for. Show us your apport personnel. Show us evidence that you know what you are talking about. Because it works like this. Suppose we want to elect a president now, and he's someone who has a great liking for the environment. You will see that kind of person would be very concerned about the cleanliness of the streets and many other things and so on. And you will see evidence of his passion in what he has been doing. For those of us who were in Bamenda some time back, and you are familiar with Mr. I think he's called Chengwa, in Bafut there, he used to have a green park and so on. That was somebody who was passionate about the environment, about the ecosystem, about parks and so on. So he was not just talking about it, but he was living it. So you need to be able to see that. So if you look at those presidential candidates, for instance, and you look at someone like Barrister Akere Muna, it's very easy to tell where his passion is, and you can see what he has been doing. He can talk to you about corruption from morning till evening, and you are certain that if you made that kind of a person president, no 1 franc is going to be lost in this nation, because he will track you down to the last penny, and then it will be over. So you can tell that. So we should be able to tell, the real skills that the people have, and they should be able to tell us or show us. Not even telling us. We should be able to pinpoint what exactly they have done and what we can benefit from them when they become the leaders that we want them to be. So it's not just fanfare.
It's not just fanfare. If you have some questions for Dr. Nick Ngwanyam, please put them through. I'll ask him on this question. Our focus tonight is for us all to understand what we have to look out for in the candidates that are going to be coming to ask for our votes. We're going to have a two-week period for campaigns where most of these candidates are going to be talking to us, but we should know what we want from them. Now, let's look at the place of competence and experience.
Yes.
Do we also need to profile them on that?
It's very, very important, and I can talk to you a lot about that. Having been having been an employer for so many years, you know, I started St. Louis in 1995, so I've been employing people since then, and I've dealt with different kinds of persons, and I know what it is like when you make the mistake of employing the wrong person and putting him in a position where they cannot deliver. So it's very important that we check out, you know, the skills and competences of people before we give them the jobs that they have to do. Without that, you will mess up big time. So for us to understand what we have to be looking out for, I would want to remind people again the three pillars on which a society, a company, or everything stands, and then to show us what we should be looking for in those things. Once you have that picture in mind, we will know how to test them. Now, you all have cooked at home on the native fireside, which has 3 stones. And there's no fireside with 2 stones or 1 stone. There must be 3 for the pot to sit well on it. So in nature or everything, we have those 3 stones. So when it comes to running the country or running any organization or any home, we are saying the three things that one must pay attention to is, number 1 is politics, number 2 is economics, number 3 is development, and I would explain. Now, what is politics? Each of these things that I have mentioned has got 2 parts to it, a part A and a part B. Politics is 2 things. A, you and I, Leo, we agree that we are going to run this house this way. That's what we have agreed on. And we agree on the things that we will do and the things that we will not do. Okay? Then part B is making sure that we implement what we said we will do. That's it. That's politics. So it's about, you know, it sounds very complicated, but it's broken down into those two simple things. And I'm very grateful. It's His Eminence Christian Cardinal to me who taught me. Otherwise, when we just hear politics, because we all know that politicians tell a lot of lies, we think that when you say politics, we mean lies. So, but politics is a science, and you need to know what it means. And politics is not just in Yaoundé, it's not just for the government. We have politics in the home, we have politics in the church, we have politics in the market, we have politics everywhere. And each time you have 2 people sitting together, there's politics. Politics is how you interact with people. The second thing, which is very important, is economics. Economics. How do you make money? How do you create money? How do you create wealth? That's the first part. Part B is, how do you spend your money? How do you spend your money in such a way that you can grow the money instead of wasting the money? You can earn the money. You can earn the 4 ways of earning the money. 4 ways of earning money, either as an employee, as a self-employed person, as a businessman, or as an investor. And the 5th way of earning money, which is the dishonest one, is when you are a thief or you embezzle. You know, yes, you have money, but you have stolen it. So we are going to test them on these policies, test them on the economics. How are they going to help the country to make money? How are they going to help the country to create wealth? And how are they going to be using our wealth in a manner that is not wasted? Then development. Development has 2 parts to it. When we are talking development, we are talking about the part A, which is development of the person, of the human being, human capacity, building human capacities. Human capacity development is very, very important and key. If you see countries like Singapore, South Korea, Japan, And all these countries that are great nations that have beaten Africa, the difference is not in the fact that Africa has all the mineral wealth, and those countries have no mineral wealth. Actually, these ones they have nothing. They don't have forests. They have nothing. But what they have is the human capacity that they have taken time to develop. They have developed gray matter. They have developed skills, and they have quality human beings there.
No, but
makes all the difference. So
how do we identify what you are saying in these candidates?
No, what I'm saying, if you listen to me very well, I'm trying to explain to the people so that they know, and then so that the candidates do know, because these things I'm telling you, they are the things we'll be questioning them on, and they are the things we'll be expecting from them, because that's where our salvation lies. Okay, so first, when we are talking about development in Cameroon, for instance, we are complaining that there are no roads, there's no water, there's no this. That is physical development. But you cannot have physical development when you don't have development of the human person. And you would have noticed that when we are building our roads, we go and import the Chinese and order them to come and build the roads for us.
Doctor, how do we identify somebody who can get that done? We're talking about experience here and competence.
Yes.
Should we go back to what they have been able to do in their respective places of work or in their communities?
Yes, that's correct. I'm just coming to it. So if you have understood these three things, then let me go ahead and connect it to education. So if you understood the politics, the economics, and the development, then imagine those things to be tied on three blades of a fan, and that fan is plugged into the current, and you can turn the button to 1, 2, and 3 to speed up the fan. That current you have plugged it to is the quality of education. So when you come to a nation that has a good quality education, the politics is good, the economics is great, and the development is also good. When you come to a nation like Cameroon, where these three things are failing and failing woefully, and the streets are very dirty, is because the education has not been good. Now that said, I come back to your question now. So we are going to be looking at candidates and then examining them and questioning them to see how much they know of the politics, the economics, the development, and the education. These are the areas in which we have to question them and observe them. Why is it so? If you have been listening to the TV debates and the radio debates with professors and many Cameroonians talking and all from morning till evening, I will shock you. Many of those people who talk, their talk is only centered around politics. And I've shown you that beyond politics, there is economics, there is development, and there is education. But all of them spend all their time talking about politics. This man has a big head. That man is like this. This other one is like that. I mean, they're talking like what you call Mimbo house talk. You know, nothing concrete. Oh, il est monté, il est descendu. Oh, he had a large crowd. He had a thin crowd. That is not it. That is not it. So if you were to look only at that, you will see some of these nice politicians, they come, they wear a nice suit, and then they talk, you know, like a suitor talking to a young girl and so on, sweet talk and so on. And he'll just be blowing that hot air around the politics. Then we'll take the presidency and give to him. Once he takes the presidency, he doesn't know how to create wealth. He doesn't know how to create 1 million jobs for youth every year. He doesn't know how we can go borrow tar from another country, come and build our roads and pay later. That kind of person would only be looking at how he can go and dig up the minerals and sell for cheap, take half of it and put in his pockets and do whatever with it. So that is the kind of thing that we should avoid. Sweet talking politicians with zero capacities. Okay. Look for these areas and test them on those things. Many of them, there could be 20 of them. By the time you start testing them on, when you leave the politics, because it's on très fort en politique, when you leave the politics, drag them down to economics and entrepreneurship and wealth creation, industry, production, test them on that. Then come down to development and test them on that and ask them what they can do to use the youths to do our jobs. They will all fail.
Okay. Well, we've not tested, so we cannot conclude that they're all going to fail. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to Dr. Nick, one of the fine brains in our dear country. I believe that Cameroonians themselves do not know what is good for them. They often fall prey to fake politicians whenever they are flattered with bread and sardines on the eve of election, perhaps due to poverty and hardship. I think that they really need to be sensitized on basis of selecting a credible candidate during elections. Dennis Ake is watching from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo and Dr. Nick, for the program. I appreciate to all Cameroonians this 2025 presidential elections is all about the SDF and CPDM. The others are good for municipal and legislative elections next 2026. Don't waste your votes, please, on this news found political parties. Okay, Gamma Eric in Kumba. Good night to everyone. Okay, good evening, Mr. Kum and all the other panelists. Can you please ask Dr. Nick to please advise us if we should vote a candidate who has good track records on his career, especially fighting corruption, but there are negative rumors going around that his father was a traitor to Anglophones during the days of Amadou Ahidjo. Dr. Nick, please advise us on such a presidential candidate. My second question is that should we consider the age of the presidential aspirants before voting for them? Simon, writing from Kumba. This, we are not going to use our platform to downplay any presidential candidate. I know you are talking about Barrister Keremuna, but we don't want to use our platform to talk down on anybody.
That's correct.
The playground should be level for everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure you are right on that. I was just going to say that, you know, we are here to educate people and not here to choose candidates for anybody. We are not choosing candidates for anybody. And to say that it is true. The Bible says that when a father commits sins, you know, the effects are felt on his children to the fourth generation. But that does not mean that a child cannot break away from that. If a child is well behaved and follows the ways of the Lord, they can break away from it, and then they are washed clean, and then they can go ahead. So judge whoever on what they are, not on what the father was. Judge them on who they are, and I think that's it.
It raises the issue of age. Does it really matter? Yeah.
I know why we are talking age, but in the days ahead there will be better clarity about that age.
You have nothing to say about that?
No. All I can say is that in the upcoming days, I don't know. That's how we express it. I mean, in the near future, that's the word. In the near future, there will be a lot of clarity about this age thing. I would understand why it's not important.
Okay, now it's not very important. How do we get the technocrats? Because you were trying to develop something, and you say we should scrutinize them. We could still scrutinize somebody who may defend very well what he has presented. But how do we get to know whether they have done what they are saying? Is that not also something worth noting? Yes.
For instance, you look at a candidate, sir, what have you done before? Sir, what have you done before? Let me give you a good example. If I wanted to, if I had the powers now, and you just woke me from sleep and say, choose someone for us who can be a good minister of agriculture, I would not think twice. I would just pick on somebody like I think he's called Mr. Kumfa.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure you've heard of Mr. Kumfa.
Yes.
Mr. Kumfa was a divisional delegate. I don't know whether he's still there of livestock in the West region, and I think it's about 20 years now that I passed through Bafoussam and I saw his poultry, and he was doing such a great job. Yes, he's a civil servant, but beyond that, he doesn't sit in the office and put on a tie and then he's blowing a lot of hot air because he's a civil servant. He trained as an agric officer, a veterinary doctor, and then he is keeping a lot of chicken and feeding the nation. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. Put it another way. Let's go down to the Ministry of Agriculture as it is now. Let us take all the ministers that we've had for 30 years with all their directors and secretary generals and what have you, and let us cross-check their records. How many of them had farms? How many of them were keeping animals? You'll be surprised. You will find out that a good percentage of them probably didn't have much. And that would explain to you and I why the agriculture has failed. That explains to you and I why we are importing rice when we have fertile lands, when we have rain, when we have a lot of youth who could work and so on. It's because they lack vision, they have no passion and so on. Somebody just picked them from the street and made the minister of something, director of something, when they have no passion for it, when they have no creativity for it, when they can't innovate anything. So they just sit there and then before you know it, they start praising the president instead of working to solve the problems of the people. That has been the biggest problem. So it's very important that we find out what they have been doing, not knowing that will be taken into account someday. What have you been doing for yourself, for the community, and for the nation, when no one was watching? When you see it, pick on the guy.
Okay, we should look at what these guys have been doing. What track record does the candidate bring? Have they managed institutions or initiatives effectively? These are the things that they should be telling us.
Yes. And when you are talking about managing institutions, let's be very careful. You know that we have all these government institutions and the president has been appointing people, so when you can pick on someone and he brings you a long list of appointments. Oh, I was a director over there, I was transferred to this other one here. That's not what we're talking about. That long list of appointments by President Paul Biya and your transfer from left forward center is not counted. Because most of those things, you have one ineffective person being moved from one post to the other, and they are being recycled and shown, and nothing is happening on the ground. No. It's not because you have been a director of minister for so long, moving from one place to another. Yes, you have been there, but you have not been effective. You have been existing, but not productive. We are talking about people who can show signs and evidence of productivity. Yes, if they had been appointed and they did a good job, we would know. For instance, if you ask me one governor who did a good job, I would cite Governor Abaka Ahmad, Governor Kumpa Isa. And we all know about our late brother and father, His Excellency Aboem Achoy. We know about our late father and brother, Professor Victor Anomangu. He was doing things. Minister or no minister, he was doing things. That's the kind of people we're talking about. Not people who are saying civil servant or echelon, all those kind of things. No.
Okay, civil servants or echelon. I don't know what that means.
No, I mean they have this thing that they have all those terms that mean nothing.
Okay, dear Doctor, good evening. Be talking like this every day. Educate Cameroonians in both languages to choose their leaders. Cameroon is very tribal in nature. We see political parties that are stuck in respective villages, in divisions, in regions. You see some people who say les nordistes, others say les sudistes, les bamileke. How do we get past this in choosing our candidate that is looking beyond my countryman?
A good candidate, a good leader is already someone who does not tolerate that kind of thinking around him. That tribal thing. So look for someone who doesn't wear that kind of a coat. If the person as an individual breathes tribalism, smells and breathes tribalism, avoid him. You could start. Everything usually starts small in a nucleus and grows. For instance, you could be starting a political party. Of course, it's very easy to start a political party these days. If I wanted a political party now in 1 week, I'll have one. But 400 political parties makes no sense. But let's go back to 1990s or when was it again? I can't remember. When the SDF was launched. When the SDF was launched in Bamenda, you see, the people who launched that SDF, they took a risk, and so it was a small group of people who had known themselves for a long time, and they came from a restricted area. They were of course mostly just Bamenda people and some other people, who knew themselves. So they bunched together and launched that party. So it started like that, a small nucleus. But notice what they did. They quickly ran over the national territory and took over the territory and spread their tentacles everywhere. So before long, the SDF was all over the nation, just as much as the CPDM. So just because you started in your small village doesn't mean you should stay in your small village. If you stay in your small village with a small village mentality and small village mannerisms, then of course you will die in the village and you're going nowhere. So that is the kind of thing I expect. But unfortunately, I don't know whether it was done intentionally, this creation of so many parties just to weaken the opposition. I would imagine everybody went there and was having a bit of the cake, So when you see someone like Cabral Libi, he has his small cake somewhere, small parties. You see there's the party in Noon, there's the party, there's Padek in his village, all the small village parties. Those kind of parties, they cannot conquer the nation. They cannot really effectively manage the nation. If you have to effectively manage the nation, you must have a broader worldview. Your mindset, you must be sitting in a helicopter, like we said, and looking at the whole nation, not looking at a small farm in your village. So that is what we expect. So we need to go through all those candidates and see those of them who see the nation as one, who see the whole nation as theirs, who don't make a distinction between east, west, north, and center. That is the kind of person you pick on. But and how do you tell that? Look in the immediate, in the surrounding of the person, his driver, his secretary, his this, his that, the people he relates with, and so on. If they are all from his tribe, avoid him.
Okay, we should avoid him. We were talking about servant leadership. I've done this program for so many years, and many persons say we want a coalition. The people say we want this, we want this, we want this. How do you get to know someone who is willing to work with others and not necessarily people from his clan or his party? Because that is also a problem where we have the impression that every grey matter or anybody, any technocrat or the best are coming from a political party or from a region. How do we identify this person who can easily identify talents and knowledge from across the nation, federate them to serve the nation?
Okay, I think let me try to rephrase it, and I hope I understood what you were saying. Now, we want, when I say we want,
and the capacity of the leader to listen to what the people want.
Yes, correct. So we have a lot of leaders, 20, 30, I don't know, sitting as political parties, and we are saying to form that coalition behind one person. Who is that person that should sit there, as the leader? And if you ask that question, if you ask the 20 of them, all of them, each of them wants to be, because they're all very greedy and selfish. That's the sad part about it. Each of them wants to be. But what we would have expected from them is they should have the capacity to step back. You look at your friend eyeball to eyeball and step back and say, okay, for the sake of the nation, for the sake of our future, I will step back and support A. Then the others also say, yes, I think you are right, I'll also step back and support A. Or they can end up 3 of them, and then they now do a small election amongst them and pick one. But for that to happen, they must be genuine to themselves, they must love themselves, they must love the country, and they must be God-fearing. But if they're not God-fearing, if they don't love themselves, and they suffer from greed and an overdose of ego, then they will only keep fighting themselves and will never get there. And that is the bane, that is what is killing the nation. And if they are going to do that, then the CPDM is just going to walk over them and just get their prize without any fight.
Okay, get the prize without any fight. And we are talking about a nation that to some extent is getting the more fragmented because of this strong attachment to region and ethnicity. We feel more as Bamun than Cameroonians. We feel more as a Bamileke than a Cameroonian, and we feel more of Ikan. How do we identify that person that is going to work for national unity and get the so much talked about national integration done?
I think we just have to look at, I don't want to call names because I don't want to influence what people are thinking. But I'm sure if you truly look at what they have been saying and listen to the way they have been talking and so on, you would see that you will be able to come out with a candidate, but it's very important to find out people who have been sacrificing. The sense of sacrifice is very important. Look for someone who has been sacrificing to meet the needs of some people that are not related to him in any way. You know, what am I saying? Somebody who would have been responding to, let's say, a crisis in the north and trying to support the people in the north without even knowing them. When you have that kind of a person, that kind of a mindset, then he is going to go out of his way to do just about anything. But if you have someone, if you're going to pick on someone who has never gone out of his cocoon to help anybody, then you are in a lot of trouble. But above all, pick someone who is God-fearing. Whenever you have someone who is God-fearing, that person who is God-fearing tends to have empathy, tends to listen to others. He prays and he asks for the wisdom of Solomon to be able to lead. And therefore, when they are listening and they are teachable, then even if they have shortcomings, they will be able to make up for those shortcomings because they have what it takes to correct themselves. It's very important.
Okay, it's very, very important. I'll take some of your messages and we continue with Dr. Nick out here in the studio. Good evening, Mr. Kum and Dr. Nick. In my perspective, I think we must assess their plans for economic growth, job creation, healthcare, education, and national development. Such a candidate must be good in diplomacy, ensure human rights and rule of law, no one with a record of abuse of power. Remy is watching us from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I'm very proud of the person of Dr. Nick. God bless you so much for always carefully taking your time to advise Cameroonians. Keep up. Doctor from Evangelist Teacher Ikamba. Ntui watching live from Kolmesen, Yaoundé 5. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I love your program. Your guest is indeed grounded with issues in Cameroon. Writing from Kumba, I'm Mr. Foliware. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu and Dr. Nick. Please, Doctor, with all these nice ideas, don't you think your candidacy could have given some of us, the youth, some hope? Derek Wala is writing from Chang. Dear Doctor, good evening. Be talking like this every day. Okay, there is an issue of bilingualism. It's a concern where people think that they should be spoken to in their language. At least we know that we have two official languages. Should someone who wants to lead Cameroon also be profiled on his bilingual efficiency? Okay.
On ne peut pas être le président au Cameroun sans être bilingue.
Okay.
You know, you could have excused the past, right? But we're in a new era now. Going forward, we cannot continue to be doing the same old things. We must innovate and change. We'll be more creative, and therefore, when you have a president who is very bilingual, by nature of things, the ministers also will be very bilingual, and the directors will be forced to be bilingual, and then, you know, things will just happen. You will not need a commission for bilingualism for things to be happening. No, you see, there's been a lot of anger in the country now because you know, you go to the northwest, southwest, you have SDOs, DOs, gendarmes who are talking to Anglophone mothers in French, and then threatening and kicking them around in French when they don't even understand, harassing them in French. It's very frustrating. So it's very important.
Yeah, but you are not also raising the issue of some Anglophones who may be talking to Francophone mothers in English because they cannot express themselves very well in French.
Oh yeah, I mean we are talking about it's vice versa. It's vice versa, and that's why the Commission for Bilingualism was created, and it seems to have failed because there is fundamental. We are not seeing any changes. So we are saying that. You know, but again, come to think about it, how many Anglophone gendarmes speak English to, you know? There's the 80-20 rule. So this thing about bilingualism is not very much a Francophone thing. It's the Anglophones crying and say, you know, get people to us who can speak to us in the language that we understand. Francophones don't have those problems because even those of us Anglophones who are working here, you know, you are obliged, if you're a businessman like I am, you are obliged to be good in the French so that you can communicate, you know, your ideas to your clients. If you don't communicate your ideas to your clients, too bad for you. You don't have sales. So and I think this issue of bilingualism, it's very much so a problem, but in the civil service really, because when you come to the private sector, you know, people are struggling to speak both languages, and when they can't even speak the official French or English, they pick on pidgin or some lingua franca so that they can communicate and transact, because that's what life is all about anyway. Because even when we are talking about these problems, whatever problems between Anglophone and Francophone, when among the common people, there's no problem. You know, that problem is over there amongst people who have power and so on. You know, so this issue of bilingualism is an issue of civil servants whose shoulders grow more than their heads, and they think that by speaking French they have an edge over others.
Okay, just to note, I want to tell our audience that already some candidates have started submitting their files at the level of ELECAM, and as we speak, at least 5 candidates already have submitted their files with ELECAM. I'll see if I can have the names. You have Kisop Bete, who was the first person to submit a file at ELECAM. His party is Cameroon Party for Social Justice, CPS. That was done on Saturday. Today we have Muna Akere Tabeng. The party is Univers. That was done today, Wednesday. We have Kamgan Tan Eric of the Libération démocratique pour le changement républicain camerounais. He deposited his candidacy today at ELECAM. We have Zé Amvene Geneviève, candidate independent. That is the independent candidate. She also deposited candidacy today at ELECAM. We have Gouet Jean of the Mouvement Patriotique pour le Changement du Cameroun, MPCC. He also deposited his candidacy today. So as we speak, 5 of them have deposited. We are expecting tomorrow many others would likely follow on Friday. To see that many persons are going to be running for this stuff. But for the independent candidates, how do we also, should we take the same pains to profile them the way we are doing with those who are carried by political parties?
We are here looking at the kind of persons we want to have as a leader. Whether you're coming from from left, forward, or center is none of our business. We are looking at you as a leader, and even though we are talking about a president as leader, but the same rules go for, you know, a leader in the Njangi, a leader in the church, a leader in the community, a leader just about anywhere. We still look for the same qualities. So private candidate or from a party, it makes no difference. Leadership is leadership. So we are saying that we are looking for these good leaders because the country is creeping, and we need to get the nation on its feet. And without good leadership, we're not going to go very far.
Okay, we are not ready to go this far, so we should look beyond those who are very close to their tribe.
Yeah. Oh, but by the way, you were mentioning the independent candidates. So among the 5, we don't have an independent.
We have one the lone lady. So far, yes, but we have others who maybe be filing in tomorrow.
That's wonderful.
Because we see how
they managed to get the 300 signatures.
I don't know whether
that's great.
We don't know. It is ELECAM that is now going to scrutinize the files to see if because depositing a file is not tantamount to
being received.
Yes, there's one guy. There's one guy. The first person is in prison in Carnegie.
Okay.
So the issue is, come with your file. ELECAM will receive it.
Okay.
So they have to study it, and we don't know whether they have paid the 30 million.
I was of the impression that when you show up at the window of your file, they look through. If it's not good, they give it back to you.
No, they receive everything.
They receive and they work on it later.
They're going to sift, yes,
and
then come up with a list. Before those who are not satisfied with the decision at ELECAM will move on to the Constitutional Council.
I get it.
Yes. So we were talking about looking at how inclusive the messages are. Do they speak for all the ethnicities of religions and regions? Because there are some people who say it is time for the North. Some will say it is time for power to remain. Do we need to scrutinize all of this?
Some of these messages are not bad in themselves. They carry with them some weight. For instance, I'm saying so because I think I've committed this very sin, if at all you want to call it a sin. Because come to think of it, it's no secret. I've been saying that, you know, Francophones have been presidents in this country for the past 63, 65 years. And I have been saying that the next president in Cameroon after His Excellency President Paul Biya ought to be and must be an Anglophone. Otherwise, there will be no social justice in that. And so it does not mean that Anglophones are too dumb to be a president. No, we have to create a system which makes sure that, you know, an Anglophone is president for 10 years, then it goes back to a Francophone for 10 years, and so on. We should create a system that works, a system that brings peace, a system that is acceptable, and it will be okay. So, yeah, and that said, but to be fighting on a presidency based on tribal lines is also a little bit very tricky and something that is not very nice, because we have noticed what these tribal tendencies can bring as problems. You know, in we saw what happened in Rwanda and many other areas. I'm not very good in history, but we know that all these problems around the world, they tend to happen based when tribes hijack power, and then exclude others, then there are problems. So what are we saying? If you are a president, it doesn't matter what tribe you come from, please try not to be embedded and attached to your tribe. Try to live above those tribal things and be a great president, be a great human being, be a great leader, and just be open there. You know, use the Ubuntu spirit. Be as good as Mandela. Be as good as this was this black pastor who was
Martin Luther?
Like Martin Luther. What else are you looking for? Just think Martin Luther. Think
Gandhi?
Think Gandhi. Think the man of South Africa, the power I just mentioned. Now my brain is not working very well now.
Mandela?
Mandela, yes, Mandela. Be thinking like that. Be thinking like that. Don't be thinking your small villages and so
Okay.
on. Think up. Think up.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank you for today's topic. It's so pertinent because eliminating job creation by eliminating administrative bottlenecks for investors. Our economy is going backward because our investors find it difficult to invest in the country and rather preferring to invest abroad. So many would have been employed, but because these investors invest abroad, they are unemployed simply because of the government's hands on their necks. So much to say, but can't type all. We need someone straight and direct. Desmond is writing from Ngaundere. Good evening to you, Desmond. Good evening, Mr. Kum and Dr. Nick. For these political parties vying for coalition, but egoism is a disturbing factor. Could easily handle it through a secret ballot. Let's they use the kind of elections that is used during Papal's elections. Erin Banla is watching from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Meshak Moki Lenya watching from Boya. This program has been one of my best programs. Good evening, Mr. Leo. It's Danny Piano from Kumba. I'm really enjoying the program, but it has been long. I see Kangaroo Man on the programs. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo and panelists. I thank you for the education of Cameroonians. We need a president who is coming up with a policy that is achievable with the available resources. Okay, Derek is watching from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Can you please ask Dr. Nick if there is a guarantee that a presidential aspirant who had a successful management career in the private sector, entrepreneurship, will make a good president, which involves public administration? Simon from Bomenda. Good evening, Mr. Kum and Dr. Nick. In my perspective, I think we must assess their plans. Okay, I think I took that already. We are looking at what these guys have to offer. When you look at Cameroon today, what is the core problem that Cameroon is facing that someone who wants to easily win the minds of Cameroonians? What language should he speak to easily catch Cameroonians and make them believe that I know what the problem of Cameroon is and I'm capable of fixing it? Okay.
You and I are here, and on our fingertips, let us, before I even go into, do you know, we are talking together, we are talking to the whole nation. Let us use, I think it's called Pareto's rule, the 80-20 rule. Let us pick 20% of the problems that, if they are solved, would bring 80% of the answers that Cameroonians are looking out for. So the 5 major problems that the leaders must be able to solve. Number 1, the Anglophone problem. You must be able to solve the Anglophone problem. And that's a problem that would have been solved in 2019 had the major national dialogue not turned out to be what it was, a monologue. If it were a true dialogue in the spirit of reconciliation and negotiations, we would have solved this problem. So the next president that is coming must be able to solve the Anglophone problem and put it to rest. Number 2, youth problems. Youth problems. Youths have no work. Youths are going to school, coming out, and they can't help themselves, and I feel very bad that they are dying in the desert, they are dying at sea, they are dying in the Amazon forest and so on. And even when they get to America, they have to be going around like fugitives. It's not right. The question we should ask is, what can a leader do in Cameroon to make Cameroon so beautiful that Cameroon becomes a go-to kind of place where people tend to flock into Cameroon instead of running out of Cameroon? What should we do so that it keeps our children? So there's something that is chasing the children out. So the good leader must be able to identify those things and do it in such a way that our children and everybody is comfortable. Number 3, poverty. put money into the pockets of people. Put money into the pockets of the people. What are you going to do to increase wealth creation? Wealth creation is not just for a few, but wealth creation for everybody. What are we going to do with, Cameroon is one of the richest nations, but why are we poor? We are poor because we don't know how to change water into wine. We have a lot, but we don't know how to manage our resources. A moment ago, we examined the economics. How do you create wealth and how do you use your wealth? So we are very poor at that, and that's why I said that a leader must be able to tell us what he is going to do to help the nation to create a lot of wealth, just like I think it's called Ngwanyam of Singapore did. What the president of China did for China to be today. Those are the kind of leaders we want. You know, we have everything. We have all the raw materials. We have the water. We have the land. We have everything. But we just don't know what to do with them. And others are flooding in here and taking advantage of the things we are sleeping and drinking and so on, not knowing what to do with what God has given us, thinking that running away is the solution. No, we have everything here. So we want someone who will solve the Anglophone problem, someone who will solve the youth problems, someone who will solve the economy and poverty problem. We want someone who would cause the development that we need. The roads. We need the roads. We need electricity. We need the internet. We need hospitals. We need cheap, good housing, well-planned cities, and so on. Why must we travel to Dubai to be able to see good things? Why can't we make a Dubai here? Who stopped us from making a Dubai here? Nobody. It's our stupidity that stops us from getting our Dubai here. It's not France that stopped us from getting our Dubai here. When we have debt piling on our debts, on our roads, when we have all those potholes, leaks in our roads, and we cannot even circulate, it is not the colonial master that stopped us from carrying debt off our street. So there is some irresponsibility, some ignorance and irresponsibility on our part as citizens and leaders, something that we are not doing. And until we have leaders who can address things like that squarely and get them out of the way, we'll keep turning around in circles and blaming others, blaming the devil, binding the devil, and so on for our own laziness. And the fifth thing, the educational system in Cameroon must be changed. What we have had for 60 years and calling education, forget it, it's not education. We've been telling stories. You can tell stories and go and get a PhD. That doesn't mean that you have the capacity to change water into wine. When I'm saying changing water into wine, I mean adding value to things. For instance, if you were to take a pineapple, you go to the market, you will buy a pineapple for 300 francs. If you clean that pineapple and then grind it, juice it, and so on, and put it in a beautiful bottle, you will sell it for 1 liter. You will sell it for 700 or 1,000 francs. So you see, you bought the pineapple for 300 francs. You did something to it, you added value to it, and you sold it for 1,000 francs. That is it. That is how you do it. I'm just using the pineapple. But what about, we can do the same thing with our wood, with our minerals, with everything. And that's what President Paul Biya was referring to as import substitution. Let us learn to do our things ourselves. For instance, see one stupid thing that we do, and I keep mentioning it. We import, I don't have the statistics, I think we import about 890,000 tons of rice or something like that annually. And just for food and drinks and things like that, we are spending 1,000 billion every year to import these things. But do you know the good news? The good news is that a good leader in Cameroon will do this. He will train the youths, just like Traore is doing in Burkina Faso. He would bring the machinery, the equipment, the fertilizer and everything, and give the youth, give them the land, give them the money and everything, and help them and they will grow all the rice that we have been importing here in Cameroon. They will grow all the wheat. They will grow all the grapes. They will grow all the apples. We will make our own wine and everything. We'll stop importing Dom Perignon. So we can do these things ourselves. We will get the machines and use the Indian bamboos to make our own toothpicks. There are things we can do to change our story, but we need a leader who understands that you need to change the education so that you can train the children with skills to be able to do these things that I'm saying. If we are to do that, you will see Cameroon just pop out of nowhere in 5 years.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to one of the finest brains in Cameroon, Dr. Nick. I always learn a lot from Dr. Each time he speaks, he has explained 4 key points any good leader should focus on, namely politics, economics, development, and education, and each of these key points have 2 sides. Please, Mr. Liu, ask Dr. Nick to kindly educate Cameroonians in general and the voters in particular on how to determine a leader who can handle these 4 key points he mentioned. Thank you. I'm Motale Ernest, writing from Ebolova. I'm sure we did that already. Good evening. Once more, Mr. Liu. Let me just read 1 or 2. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Dr. Nick. Please, Dr. Nick, what do you think about some self-baptized Anglophones, youth who recently supported the head of state's presidential candidature for 2025 elections with a huge sum of millions? Thanks. You, okay? Okay. That's not the topic. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. In our presidential election, it's always difficult to separate the corn from the beans. We need to be careful. These types of people will always be ahead. The whole authority controls or force people on the idea, think they are above others, focus on power, while what we need is someone who inspires and motivates, gains trust and respect, work with the people, focus on growth and team success. We need a leader, not a ruler. May God Almighty bless our beloved country, Cameroon. Again, there's Sylvester from Yaoundé. We started by talking about leader and ruler. Yes. We talk ruler, leader, and manager. Yeah. Somebody just asked a question I was going to answer. He said I should wait. And then, I was listening so keenly that it has gone off my mind. He talked about the 4 points you raised and how to look out for those things to the people. And yes, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to have 30 million people try to look at, let's say, 10 candidates jumping all over the whole place, and everybody telling a long and short story. It will be very difficult to really pick it out. You need to be a consultant to sit down and push them to the wall to be able to milk the truth out of them. Otherwise, each of them has very sweet tongues, and they will take you on a ride any time of the day. That is why. If you watch the American politics, you see, when it comes to those presidential elections and they have those primaries, you would have the Democrats over there and you have the Republicans over there. And on the side of the Democrats, before they choose the person who is going to be the Democratic flag bearer, they would have about 4, 5, or 6 candidates who would come amongst themselves, and then they will have these debates and so on. It is during those debates, that separates the sheep from the goats. And so those debates are very, very important. So those debates, debates that are carried out, are moderated by seasoned journalists who know the stuff, because you cannot just take any journalist to do it. The journalists must be seasoned and have things at their fingertips. So when you have those kind of debates, first, let's say inside the Democratic, amongst the Democratic candidates, to get 1 out of 5 at the end of the day, then one out of 6 from the Republican side. Then now you have these two. Then these two come, and journalists still hammer them and push them to the wall until they sweat blood and they sweat blood and water. That is how you can pick them out. But if you do this our thing in Africa here, where you're just going and then giving drinks left, forward, center, and so on, and dancing and clapping, you will never get them.
the way we have organized ours is still not very mature, and I'm hoping that whatever happens, we should get to that point where we put the candidates on televisions and on television with the journalists and people asking them questions so that they explain and tell the nations what they will do, and people can call in with questions like you've been asking me, so that they answer. If they don't answer, you know they're liars. But this is the good part about it. A good leader is not one who has all the answers. A good leader is someone who is open to learn. A good leader is teachable. A good leader is someone who can form teams. A good leader is someone who picks ministers or directors who are smarter and brighter than him, so that they can be able to work together as a team. If you have a leader who is going to be picking ministers and the directors who are not as bright as him, you can know that you are already in deep shit. So a deep leader is someone who is not over bloated with ego and unnecessary self-pride, someone who is down to earth, someone who connects easily with the people, and so on. So you need this kind of a person, and so that together you solve the problems. A good leader is not a computer who has all the answers. It's one who knows where to look for the answers when he doesn't have them.
Okay. There is an issue of integrity and accountability. How do we hold our leaders? They want to lead us. How do you trace that?
Integrity and accountability. You see, I think
we go back to track record.
Yeah, it's in your character. Integrity and accountability are related to some other thing. Let me just push back a little bit and explain. Every human being, the success of every human being depends 25% on the school and all the degrees and certificates that you have. Yes, Dr. Ngwanyam could go now and get himself 10 PhDs, I don't know in what. That will not go beyond 25% of my success. 75% of my success and your success, his or her success, 75% of what contributes to that success is your character and your attitude. Character and attitude are used interchangeably. Your character and your attitude. What is your character? Your character is what you do when no one is watching you. What you do when no one will ever find out. What you do that is known only between you and God. That is your true character. That is who you are. That is who you are. You have your attitude is how do you react to other human beings around you? How do you interact with them? How do you react with nature? How do you react with nature? How do you react in your family, where you work, and so on? That attitude. Are you someone who is so quarrelsome, always hyper, kicking plates and dishes everywhere? Are you somebody who is a great team leader, someone who is warm and intelligent and brings people together and support people to work and be productive? Or are you someone who breaks teams and breaks you come to Njangi, you scatter it, that kind of thing? So are you the kind of person that if you're a man, a woman will want to live with or not? So attitude is very important. You can be the smartest guy on earth, but if you have the wrong character, you are a danger to the public, a real danger to the public. So when we are talking about accountability and integrity, actually these are elements of character and attitude. Accountability, I might add another thing, respect. Respect is very important. Respect everybody. You know, I'm so surprised sometimes when people don't respect their drivers, when people don't respect their cooks, when people don't respect people who keep sanitation wherever they are. Just respect everybody. Don't respect people based on their titles and their positions and how rich they are. No. Respect a human being because he or she is a human being. That's how it is. So, integrity, it's it ties with another word, honesty. How honest are you? How trustworthy are you? That integrity, how trustworthy can you be trusted? And in dealings with other people, trust is the currency. Trust is the currency of exchange. You know, like when you go to a shop to buy something, you pull out money and you give the money and they give you the item from the shelf. The day you don't have money, what do? You come back to the shop and say, please, can I have a piece of bread? The shop owner will give you the piece of bread on the understanding that you are going to come back and pay. He is doing so because you have shown him elements of integrity and trust. He can trust you. If he can't trust you, he will not give it to you. So you see, you came to the shop empty-handed. There was no money in your hands, but you used that card of trust to buy bread. So you can do a lot on earth. You can achieve a lot on earth if people trust you. Just develop your character and be trustworthy, and you will see how far you will go. People are going to lay down red carpets for you because you are trustworthy. You know, and being trustworthy is very, very important, because imagine in a hospital setting, you are a surgeon in a hospital setting and so on. If patients don't trust you, that you went to school and you studied well, you are disciplined and you know what you're doing, and that they can lay their hands in your life, that you will take them to a theater and bring them back alive. They will not do that, because, you know, for a patient to come and actually surrender their lives to you is the highest form of trust. For you to go to a priest and confess your sins is the highest form of trust. But if it's that kind of priest, you confess your sins, and before you know it, he is singing it all over the whole place.
Okay,
then the trust dies.
Okay. Now, consistency versus flip-flopping. Should we also look out for this? Someone who is very inconsistent.
I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, when we're talking about trust, character. I learned something about character from a video that was made by Dr. Miles Monroe, who passed away in a plane crash in the Bahamas. He's a very intelligent guy, and he taught me about character. Character is not something that is here in the morning and is away in the evening. And when he was teaching about character, he referred to a statue of Queen Victoria in their city in the Bahamas, and he was saying that statue is always sitting there, whether it's the sun, there's rain or so on. You can always tell the statue is always there in the position in which it was put. So character is set, character is fixed, and therefore, when you have the right character, you are set like in concrete, and it is that setting in concrete that builds the trust. If you are going to be the kind of person who flops, then you have no character, and you cannot be a leader. Forget it. You cannot be a leader if you flip-flop. You must be, your no should be your no, and your yes should be your yes. Not a no based on emotions. No, it should be a yes or a no based on informed decision. But sometimes you will be wrong, though, to make the wrong decisions, but you should have the humility to say, even though I was strong on this, I think I made a mistake. And then you back up on that. To back up on that is not a sign of weakness. You back on that because you have had more information that allows you to modify your thinking and your decisions. But if you are a kind of leader who is always flip-flopping like a drunkard, you are not worth it.
Okay, you're not worth it. I'll take one or two messages before we wrap up from the studio here. Always difficult to get the messages because the phone always freezes. Yeah. Yes, we are moving towards the end of the program with you, Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Now, we have party influence. There are persons who is a candidate independent-minded or controlled by a system of vested interest. You see, we know how politics works in Cameroon. So many persons are coming together, maybe a mafia, to put money to get you as president, and we'll be expecting dividends. Can you be independent-minded enough to seek first the general interest of the population?
Yeah, that is a very dangerous thing, because you see, if you look at the politics in Cameroon and find out why we have failed because that's how things happen. You have politicians come and then they support each other, and then they get the power, and then they share the booty. And when they share the booty, so you have ministers who are not technocrats or entrepreneurs; they're just politicians. You are not a minister because it's not because you have any capacity or anything. It's just that you happen to be in that party, and then you supported me, and I won. So I give you this post. You are minister of this. No skills.
I give you this contract.
Yeah, I give you that. I give you that. It's a gift. And then you also take it because number one, you don't have the skills, you don't have the passion, you don't have nothing. You just come, you just drive every morning when you are and come and say the gendarmes are your door, and you're watching television, you don't even know what you're doing with the power. And that's why we fail.
That is why we fail. But there is a core issue, Dr. Anik. You raised an issue that Cameroon is very rich, yet we don't see where our money is going. True. Is it not also because because of wasteful spending?
Yes.
Should we not also profile somebody who has capacity to come and cut out on these wasteful institutions, wasteful ventures, so that the little money that Cameroon has is put into good use?
Yes, we do a lot of wasteful things. We do a lot of we carry out a lot of unnecessary celebrations, and even when we are celebrating, you remember when we were having a match at the stadium in Yaoundé, what is Olembe? Olembe Stadium. Did you see those directors and ministers who are drinking Dom Perignon in plastic cups? That's our mentality. You understand? And you think that because you are drinking, you're drinking the most expensive alcohol, it makes you great. You see, it's a bushman mentality, really a primitive mentality, and I feel so sad that those are the kind of things that we appreciate. It's not good at all. So what I'm saying is, we need to be terre à terre, get people who know how to use resources, get people that's why we were talking about economics. Get people who know how to create wealth and also know how to use the wealth and have a positive balance. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Get people who know. You must first know how to create wealth. Don't sit there and try to be and try to be using the wealth that other people have created, because that's what we are going through now. Some people just sit there and then just pick money from there, money that they've never generated one kobo. But their eyes are so sharp, they grab this, and then take au village. No.
Okay.
So we don't want that.
Okay. We need a president like the one in Burkina Faso. I like your program. Thank you very much. He's talking about Ibrahim Traoré. You mentioned him already. Dr. Ngwanyam, thanks for briefing Cameroonians on a whole lot of issues. Thank you also. I don't know where you are writing from. Oops. The phone is always freezing. Oops. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Once again, I want to thank Dr. Nick for the beautiful explanation to my question about the 4 key points a good leader should be able to handle. Thank you, Doctor. Okay. Good evening, sir. I'm very happy you mentioned Burkina Faso in your statement. This is a good example. We need bless in Oya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Your program is very educative. Continue with the spirit. Doctor is one of the best panelists that I have seen in your platform. Thank you. Good evening to the panel. Wow, this is the kind of leader we need. I have learned a lot today. I also appreciate my Media Prime for always organizing good programs. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and good evening to one of the finest brains we can boast of around. Good evening to all of you watching and for participation. Doctor, you say we need leaders who can face the population, talk to them, and also defend their actions.
Yeah. Yes, that's what the leader is. I mean, you have to be able to explain what you're doing, answer the questions of the people. Don't leave them in darkness. In fact, problems arise when you refuse to talk to people. If you can talk to people and explain, there will be no problem. You see, let us take Cameroon as it is now. The problem of Cameroon is not money. If someone tells you the problem of Cameroon is money, it's a lie. I'm not saying that money is not important, but the primary problem of Cameroon is not money. Let me explain. If you brought the budget of Cameroon 15 times and dumped it on Cameroon, it will still perish and you achieve nothing. So there are some fundamental things that we must get right for the nation to move forward. It's very important, and those are the things we've been talking about. We must be able to set the foundations right, get people who understand entrepreneurship, get people who understand how to use resources, get people who understand industry, and will correct all of this. For instance, I think I started to talk about the cultivation of rice, and I didn't finish it. I was trying to use it as an example to show how we can make our youths rich. Let me go over that just as a good example to show that we waste money in this country. I said that we spend about 1,000 billion every year importing things that we ought not to import. It does not mean that we don't need those things. Of course, some of the things are frivolous, like the alcohol. But we need rice, we need wheat, we might need apples, we need grapes, we need some nice things too. We need the confiture, as they say. But those are things that we can make for ourselves. So we can grow the rice, grow the wheat, and grow everything, and have all the tons of whatever we need, and process those things here, and even export the excess. That way, can you imagine what will happen if our government, by this mechanism, instead of taking the 1,000 billion every year that we throw away, we take those 1,000 billion and channel it into the pockets of our youth? There will be peace. All this thing about Tongtina, Sardina, Anglophone, the Anglophone war will not be there. I'm telling you, there will be peace, honestly. And children will be happy because they have a sense of direction. If children are not taking things seriously enough, yes, you want them to go to school and get good certificate and do what? So at the end of the day, there's no hope. So create hope for them. You know, create a heaven for them that they're all looking up to, and you will see that the country is okay.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Mr. Mba writing from the economic capital, Douala. My prayer is transparency in the elections. What happened in 2011 shouldn't repeat itself. Election didn't hold in some Anglophone sections, but during counting, the name surfaced with 100% vote. Chai, okay? We are closing with this question to you, Dr. Nick. We know this mentality when someone is made minister, the village comes around and says, we thank the head of state for remembering our village, and it becomes an issue of the village. The minister is expected to get the guys from the village to help his community, and the president becomes our son. It is power has come to us. It is our time to benefit. How do we get this?
I think it has to do with education, and it has to do, there's nothing wrong in celebrating your sons and so on, but you should do it in a measured manner. Do it knowing that when your son is made a minister or president, it's not just for you. Yes, you might have a little bit more water to drink from him, personal water, not that he goes and steals from the state budget to come and give you. If he gives you from his personal salary, fine, that's great. But don't expect him to go and steal from the state budget and come and feed you. And don't expect him to transform his ministry into a village where he has to take all of you and go and put in that ministry, or he has to go harassing other ministers to pick children. No, it's not right. It's about the common good. Always have in mind the common good. We would have put in place the system of merit. You merit it, you get it. It's important. You merit it, you get it. Not man, no man, and that kind of thing. So if we put in place a system of merit, we will get it. Leo, just before you take back the microphone from me, I just wanted to mention some other 3 pillars in life,
okay,
and the way we should see life. Some other, we first mentioned some other 3 pillars when we were talking about politics, economics, development, fired by education. Now, these other 3 pillars that I'm talking about is the way nature has set up a couple of things. Always remember that there's one pillar in our lives is God, the other pillar is nature, and the other one is self. What do I mean? We are in Cameroon here. We are in Douala, and Ngwanyam, I'm in Douala now. So myself, I'm here, and the nature around me is the environment, the sea, the water, the heat, and everything, and the floods that come with it. But also there is God. And when you go now up towards Chad or somewhere in those other dry areas, they have a different ecological system, but also there is still God, and there's the man who is there. So at each time when you have a challenge, always remember that the challenge is linked to you, nature, and God, and you have to know how to put all these things together to be able to solve your problems. And in Cameroon, we should know that we are not going to succeed if we leave God out of our lives. Trying to run the nation with a Rosicrucian spirit and so on is not going to work. It's time for God to come back to our nation. We have tried running a nation with Rosicrucian spirits, and we have found ourselves in a ditch. And if we don't go back to God, we will perish. But I think we have hit rock bottom, and it's time for us to seek the face of God. Thank you very much.
Okay, we should go back to God. He is the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Chris. I really wish Doctor should be in your panel this period. He has much leadership skills to transmit. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Mr. Ngwanyam is a Cameroonian who has this country at heart. He doesn't think only of his stomach. And to imagine that he is out of the CPDM, okay? This of the CPDM. Mr. Liu, good evening. The biggest problem in Cameroon is that our big people want only to steal money and keep it in America and then put us in big suffering. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. Glad to see Dr. Nick Ngwanyam on board. He is really resourceful person. We need leaders who lead with passion, love for nation and love for citizens, not for selfish tendencies. We need leaders who are technocrats rather than mere politicians who sing lip praises. Mr. Acha Muta Mbeli, watching live from Ngwanyam in Bomenda. Good evening to all of you, and thank you, Dr. Nick, for coming.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to share this information with our listeners.
We want to thank all of you for watching. Stay blessed on My Media Prime TV. Bye-bye.